Hi there, my name is Alex, aka Chad Syntax. I'm the founder of Agentsmith, and in this video I'm going to be demoing the Agentsmith Studio and SDK along with my colorful commentary. Agentsmith is a powerful open source prompt CMS that bridges the gap between non-technical folks, the prompt authors, and the engineers. Let's begin by signing into the studio. What we have here is the studio homepage. This lists all the organizations and projects you're a part of. Let's get started and go into our default project. Here is the project homepage, has some information about your settings and how to get started with the SDK. Now let's head on over to the prompts page. Here's where we list all of the prompts and the latest versions and the variables that go in them, along with some CTAs in order to make a new prompt. For the purposes of this demo, let's go ahead and edit this prompt here. This is a simple prompt I've written to have the model respond with what the model is and who created it. Fairly simple. Let's go ahead and create a new version. You can see here we enforce the semver pattern, so you can choose between a major, minor, or patch version. Let's create a patch version. We've gone ahead and taken what was 0.1.1, and now we've made 0.1.2. And let's say for the sake of this demo, I want to add a little bit more of a response to this. I not only want the model and the creator of the model, I also want a link to the creator's website. So let's go ahead here and add some new instructions. All right, let's go ahead and save that. And let's go ahead and give this a test. So you can open up the test modal here and click run. This will go ahead and take the same configuration and prompt, compile the variables, and run that. And here we are, this is the response directly back from the LLM. You can see the prompt that was compiled. You can kind of see the same output, but with the markdown parsed, if your output contains markdown. And this is the full response. We can go ahead and click this link here to give us a full, complete breakdown of all the variables that was passed into the call, the raw input to the LLM, and the raw output from the LLM. Now that we've made those changes, let's go ahead and sync this to our repository. So I'm going to click sync up here. That's going to result in some toasts telling us that the sync has started. Once it's complete, we can click the details here. This will give us a full breakdown of what was changed, as well as give us a link to the pull request. See, Agentsmith wants to make sure that the engineers are in control of the prompts, the variables, and all the data that goes with it. So Agentsmith will go ahead and create a pull request and continuously updating that pull request. This all looks good to me. Let's go ahead and merge it. Now that our code is merged, let's go ahead and pull those changes. And let's go ahead and run it in our code. So as you can see here, we already have some demo code. This is pointing to the last version of the prompt where it did not contain the creator link. But let's go ahead and run it anyway, just so you can see what it looks like. There you go. Now, let's update it to our new prompt that we've just tested. Hit save, run that again. And there we have it. We can continuously go back and forth between whatever versions we want to with these version identifiers. And you can see right here in the file system, this is where all these prompts live. So in the case that you don't want to use the Agentsmith SDK, that's totally fine. You already have these prompts as files within your repository, so you have access to the full Jinja template and the JSON that goes along with it. And as you can see, we can change to whichever version we want. We can do any version that's available within our file system here. And as you can see, we have a bunch of different versions. We can specifically target 0.1.0 or 0.1.1, or we can pass in the identifier of latest. Or you could pass in nothing at all, which also is the identifier for latest. Similarly to the test we were just running in the studio, the SDK also logs the same kinds of completions, so we can take a full look on what exactly went in and went out. Now let's say that we want to add some additional logic to our template that we're working with here. Let's say we only want the link to be included sometimes. So I've gone ahead and added a little bit of logic to our template here. As you can see, there's certain parts of the prompt where we're only rendering if show link is true. And because we started typing it, show link is already showed up in our variable sidebar here. Let's go ahead and set that to Boolean as required. And now our prompt looks good to add a little bit of templating logic to it. So let's go ahead and hit save and sync those changes. So I've gone ahead and checked out that branch that Agentsmith has created, and I've gone ahead and pulled it down. And as you can see, now we have some red squigglies. Because we've added a variable that's required, our SDK is yelling at us because it doesn't have the variables that are required to compile and execute that prompt. So let's go ahead and add it and let's see what it says here. It says that it requires show link. Very cool. So let's go ahead and hit that. Show link is true. Let's go ahead and execute that prompt. And we should have the same exact output as before where it shows the link. Boom. Now let's go ahead and set that to false. And we should get a similar response, except it doesn't show the link to the website. And there we have it. And as you can see, this has made this whole process a lot more robust. Now there's no more guessing about what kind of variables go into a prompt, what kind of type should they be. When you use your code, there's enforcement at build time, so you don't shoot yourself in the foot. Now let's go ahead and change the model that we want to call. Because we're built on top of OpenRouter, we have access to a myriad of models to try out, giving us ultimate flexibility in both features and price, latency, what have you. Let's go ahead and pull Cohere here. Replace that right here. Hit save. Let's sync that again. Come back to our code. Hit pull. And we can see all of that, all of these changes are being written right to our code here, so there's no ambiguity about what's happening. Just as we edited in the studio, we have it right here. Now we're running the Cohere model. So if we were to go ahead and run that demo again, there we have it. Cohere Technologies Incorporated. Now let's say, for example, I'm an engineer and I've been doing lots of testing separate from our prompt writer, and I want to make a change, but I already have everything right here in my IDE, and this is where I prefer to do my work. I like using my cursor agent to edit files for me and whatnot. Well, the sync goes both ways. So if you feel like you want to come in here and change some configurations, say for example, this temperature is too low, it should really be at 0.8, you can go ahead and do that. We can go ahead and commit that. All right. What we should see here are some sync events that have come directly from GitHub into Agentsmith. You can see here we went from repo to Agentsmith, did a little bit of JSON updating, and here's the change to temperature right here. This allows for the ultimate collaboration between those who are non-technical and those who are technical. Using Agentsmith as a bridge, we can make changes in both the repository directly or Agentsmith directly and have them sync up. Other couple of views I want to go over is the metrics view here, which operates similar to the logs view. It shows you all the completions that you've made over time, allows you to kind of drill down between cost and the amount of requests, allows you to group by which model you were using to make those requests, how much those models are costing. So this gives you lots of visibility to understand which prompts are costing the most, which models are costing the most. This grants a lot of visibility into what's actually happening in your system. And the last thing I want to go over here is the globals. These are similar to the other variables we were putting into our templates, except they're invariable in every prompt. So if you have a lot of variables that you are reusing in many different places and they don't change very often or don't change per prompt, such as information like this, we can go ahead and save it right in here. And that's the full flow of Agentsmith. It keeps your authoring and testing in the same place with using the same templating between your non-technical and technical people. It forces the correct usage through strict typing and gives you full transparency into all your LLM calls. There's more reading you can do over here on the docs page. And right now we're running a deal where the first 100 customers get 50% off whichever plan they choose. And if you have any further questions, just shoot me an email at alex@agentsmith.dev. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please head over to the repo and give us a star. Happy prompting.